three non-negotiables for Ohio State in 2024.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to a Wednesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, here on Wednesday, May 1st in the year 2024. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit it. I have a competitive side, and it is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. So join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. One thing I was thinking about when it comes to post-NFL draft for Ohio State is things that, well, any position must do. Anybody must get done in the upcoming season. Of course, you start at the top with the head coach, Ryan Day, the CEO, the overseer, the man that's in charge of the whole ship, and just trying to figure out what does Ryan Day have to do. But then you go to quarterback and running back and receiver and guys on defense and Jim Knowles and Chip Kelly. Everybody that's a part of the program has things they must do, or they are non-negotiables for the Buckeyes in 2024 or for their position in the upcoming season. And think about Ohio State. This is focusing on Ryan Day. There are three things Ryan Day must do in the fall. The first one's an easy one. One of them might be a little puzzling, but it all makes sense. Ryan Day, three things the Buckeyes must do in the fall. They must beat Michigan. They must make the playoffs. But then also, they must play the right guys. Now, when you hear me say play the right guys, you're like, Jay, wait. How are you getting play the right guys in this situation? It's not only playing the right guys, it's playing the right guys in the right positions. Trust me, it's going to make sense. But when it comes to that first one, beating Michigan, my boss at my job here in the area where I cover sports, he is a fan of the Wolverines. And he's gracious enough to hire me and to give me the job and allow me to exercise my sports fandom and the coverage of the sports here in Howard County. And I really enjoy getting out to the 5 high schools and getting out to IU Kokomo and being able to watch professional basketball here in Kokomo as well. It's really fun being able to have my hands and fingerprints in so many different areas impacting sports fans in the area. And so it's fun being able to do that. But like I said, he is a Michigan fan. It's not fun going to work, having to deal with him when he is gloating about Michigan, going undefeated, winning a national championship. And I'm like, no. This is just me. I am just one person. I don't play for the Buckeyes. I have never played for the Buckeyes. I am not Ryan Day. I have no idea what it is like to be in Ryan Day's shoes. I have no idea. But the one thing I do know is this. You go 3 years in a row not beating them, don't make it 4. Absolutely not. No, sirree, Bob. Don't make it 4. If you want to make it 4 years in a row losing to Michigan, you're basically saying, hey, an L is meaning I'm not going to have my job anymore. It's that simple. I ain't making up these rules. I don't make up these expectations. These are things that have been set for years and for decades at Ohio State. You must beat them. Period, point blank. That's it. You got to beat them. And the only reason why I get so animated and annoyed by the things that are going on in regards to Ohio State, Michigan, and this rivalry is simply because 3 in a row is unacceptable. It is not just 3 losses in a row. How has Ohio State looked in those games? Do you truly believe Ohio State felt like, and you felt like Ohio State was going to win last year in that game? Not saying you weren't rooting for them, but when you look at that game in totality, in the 60 minutes on the field, yes, I know the final outcome, but at times it still felt like Ohio State was not going to win that game. The previous 2 years, absolutely didn't feel like Ohio State was going to win that game. Now, even if they feel like Ohio State's going to win the game in the fall, that doesn't mean it's going to happen because of a feeling. They have to do it. Though you're feeling out the window that, hey, we feel like they're going to win, so they're going to win. No. Go out there and get that thing done. Go out there and beat the Wolverines. Go out there and show everybody in the country you are the Ohio State University. And the way things have gone the past 3 years, they're unacceptable. And a non-negotiable this year is you got to beat the Wolverines. You have to. You want to win your conference? What do you have to do? Beat the Wolverines. Ain't no more of this East and West nonsense in the Big Ten. That's out the window. What do you have now? You got a team at Ohio State that's really good. That should be one of the better teams in the conference, one of the better teams in the country. But that one loss could knock them out of contention to play in the Big Ten championship game. You got to beat them. It's not just for spot in the playoff, or it's not just for a spot in the conference championship game. This is bragging rights. This is a rivalry that simply means more than other rivalries in the country. And I know if you're from the South and you say Texas, Oklahoma is bigger, wrong. I will say that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. If you say the Iron Bowl is bigger, wrong. I'll say it every day of the week and twice on Sunday. If you're on the West Coast, you say USC and UCLA are wrong. Y'all literally had a cat from USC transfer to UCLA and then go back to USC. Do you truly think somebody at Ohio State as a player is going to go from one school to another? No. Now, Tony Alford did. Still weird. Still abnormal. I understand why he left Ohio State and wanted him to stay. But that's really weird. No, those other rivalries don't touch this one. No, we're close. They don't. You got to beat Michigan, but also making a playoff. Now, this is easier than it has been in any year of the playoff in college football to make the playoff. A 12-team format where, make the playoff. Now, you say it's a non-negotiable and it's easy. It should be easy for Ohio State. Just do it. Now, playing the right players. I'm going to dive more into that in the very next segment, get more nitty-gritty and detailed in regards to the conversation. But we have seen Ohio State play the right guys, but in the wrong position, and it doesn't really work out well. I'm not going to get too deep into this one, but just playing the right guys in the right positions, and it's honestly, it's going to pay off dividends, pay off in a big way in the future. But these are things that I think any given year, they're no-brainers. Why haven't they been happening? Why hasn't Ohio State been the better team when they play Michigan in the past 3 years? I'm not breaking any news here saying that they weren't the better team last year. I am not, or the year before. I'm not breaking any news. We all know this. And if you don't want to admit it to yourself, that's cool. Ohio State was not better than Michigan last year. No, they were not. Who was more physical? Who was better coached? Who was more fundamentally sound? The team that won the game. What does that mean about Ohio State? As good as they were, and as weird as the offense was at times, Ohio State was still really, really good and was in a one score away, a touchdown, less than a touchdown away from winning that game. I forget the final outcome of the game, the final score. Don't want to think about it, but I do want to think about this. Ohio State, these non-negotiables, these are things that can actually happen this year. These aren't any goals that I'm trying to, or saying things that are non-negotiables that are lofty and too hard for the Buckeyes to accomplish. No. Ohio State can accomplish and make sure all three of these things happen. They beat Michigan, they make the playoff, but then also you play the right players at every single moment of the game. Playing the right players in the right positions, it's not only right, it's not only making sense, but it'll also make Ohio State a really good football team. Now, why am I harping so much on playing the right players in the right position? Because Ryan Day said he's looking for the best 5 offensive linemen, but I want the right 5 out there, not just the best 5. I'll tell you why next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Simply visit FanDuel.com/locked-on. Once again, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/LOCK. EDON and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus has the best selection of pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, and more. And the best service in Central Ohio. And guys, check this out. Billiards Plus carries grills that have up to 30-year warranties. That's right, a grill with a 30-year warranty. Everything you need for in-home and backyard entertainment is at Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus carries the best pool tables from Brunswick, Awhausen, Canada, Billiards, and more. And the grills, whether you like charcoal or gas or wood-fired, Billiards Plus has a perfect setup for all grillers. They are family-owned and operated. And when you talk to the staff at Billiards Plus, you know you're talking to an expert who won't steer you wrong. No matter the season, Billiards Plus has you covered for all your indoor and outdoor entertainment needs. Kenny, Sarah, and the whole staff will always go above and beyond to give you the best customer service in the industry. Billiards Plus, visit their showroom on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. One thing I enjoy about sports, a lot of times you can tie things together. There's a crossover between basketball and football and baseball and tennis and golf. I mean, I'm just throwing random sports out there, but however, there are things that you can talk about in golf that are applicable to tennis. And some terminologies that you find in basketball are applicable to football. Trust me, try it sometime. You'll realize these things intertwine and they go together oh so well. And think about Ohio State and the statement Ryan Day said, we're talking about the offensive line that he's looking for the best five, not the right five. And I think that's one of the things that is kind of like in basketball. There's some say positionless basketball, but even in positionless basketball, you're not going to have five guys standing at 6'5". Now, you may want to say, hey, guys that can shoot the 3, your 4, and your 5, they're more agile, they're more athletic. They can dribble the ball a little bit. They can shoot a little bit out on the outside, still shoot the 3. But what do you need? These are bigs to rebound. Need some little guys to bring the ball off the court and be the point guard. And even though it's positionless basketball, there are still positions. There are still duties. There are still responsibilities that players have. And a lot of times they're going to have them. And the size you are will help dictate the position that you're going to have in regards to, well, what position you're going to play in basketball on the basketball court. Now, with the offensive line, you're not talking about a little guy at 6'1" versus a big guy who's 7'2", little guy 6'1", 185. The big guy is 7'2", 280. You're not talking about that drastic difference as far as drastic in the height, drastic in the weight. You're not talking about that. But what you are looking at an offensive line, there are different body types and makeups and attributes that a tackle is going to have over a guard. That a guard may be a center, but a center might not be able to be a guard. And most guards and centers aren't able to be tackles. Exhibit A, Quentin Nelson. Could Quentin Nelson at 6'5", 330 be a tackle in the NFL? Probably. What is he best suited for? Being a guard. And it makes sense while watching the film why Quentin Nelson is a guard over a tackle. And so there's certain things out there that when you break them down, they are that way. If Ohio State plays the best five, we have seen that before. They don't beat Michigan. They don't make the 2021. Did they make the playoff? I forget they made the playoff or not that year. No, those were Rose Bowl year. No, they did not make the playoff. Quick memory working very well. They didn't make the playoff that year. And one thing I remember about that year was in fall camp, everyone was trying to figure out who's the starting five and on the offensive line. Who is this guy? Who is that guy? And then one day I went on the Bird app, and when we used to call it it still is Twitter, now known X. And I looked out there and there was a picture. I don't know if it was Dave Biddle of Bucknuts, the editor of that site, or if it was Dan Hope of 11 Warriors. I forget exactly who it was. But I saw a picture, and it was center, guard, tackle. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. What was it? Nicholas Petit Frere, Fair Munford. I think Petit Frere was a left tackle, left guard was their Munford. think the center may have been Harry Miller. I think it was Harry Miller at center. Right guard was Paris Johnson Jr. and right tackle was DeJuan Jones. And I'm thinking, in the moment, my first reaction, real talk, you can go back there and I forget if it was on the show or not. I'm pretty sure it was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that size, those guys out there on the offensive line, that'll be good. And I completely lost sight of the reality of Buckeyes had guys in the wrong positions. Now, they had success. Paris Johnson Jr. is one of the rare guys out there at Ohio State that can be a lead at guard and also be a lead at tackle, being able to change foot placement and shoulder placement and hand placement and being able to know, hey, if I'm right guard, I can do these responsibilities and also go to left guard and do it. It's very, very hard. I remember watching a show, was it the Club 520 podcast, Jeff Teague? I forget exactly what show it was. But they were talking about how sometimes in the NBA, Mind the Game with JJ Redick and LeBron James. Listen to a lot of podcasts. And it was one of the earlier episodes in this infancy stage of the show. And I think LeBron was talking about guys that in a huddle, you tell them one play and they have one responsibility on one side of the court. And then all of a sudden, if you say flip it, they can't flip it. Same thing goes, and I say flip it, I mean, hey, you're X on the right side of the court. Coach says flip it. You're now X on the left side of the court. And in their brain, they can't flip-flop on the court in their brain to know exactly what to do. Same thing goes in football. If you're a right guard and all of a sudden the coach says, hey, go to left guard, it's maybe hard for you to know just the footwork and the hand placement and all the minute details of the position, but then also realizing, okay, if I'm doing it right side, and then I got to go left side, but I got to communicate with a different player, and a lot of guys can't do it. So when I saw Paris Johnson Jr. playing right guard, then go to left tackle and really play phenomenal football at both spots, I'm like, oh, he's different. But if you're playing the best five, you can get 2021s off of the line. If you play the right five, that might be what best suits you to win a national championship, which Denzel Burke said natty or bust. I'm not putting this stuff out here. I'm not saying natty or bust. And I don't think I've ever said, hey, it's Buckeyes have to win a natty or it's a bust of a season. That's not normally how I operate, especially as I have a better handle on analyzing and trying to provide the proper analysis for you every single day. That's not me. But what we're finding is players are saying natty or bust. Okay, cool. Well, some things that need to happen. If it's truly natty or bust, you might want to make sure that when the players are out there on the offensive line, it's the right five, not the best five. I don't believe now him saying Josh Fryer is one of the best five offensive linemen. Cool. I think Josh Fryer is better at guard than tackle. But you got a dilemma. You're not moving Simmons, you're not moving Jackson, and you're not moving Fryer out of the offensive line. Simmons and Jackson, they're fine. Left tackle, left guard. Fryer is on the offensive line. I think he should be right guard, not right tackle. Who's playing right tackle if he comes up? I don't know. I have no idea. Do I think Hinsmith should be in the starting lineup over Seth McLaughlin? Absolutely. But do you want to really bring an Alabama offensive lineman in that you think is going to start, then all of a sudden he doesn't win the job, and what that means for him? Ryan Day probably doesn't, but you got to put the right guys on the field. Saying the best five is cool. You got to put the right guys on the field and let the chips fall where they may. One thing we do during the season is stock up, stock down. It's a weekly stock watch that happens on Wednesdays. Well, the stock watch is coming to you right now in the offseason at the conclusion of the 2024 NFL draft. There'll be some draft stuff that comes at you in the stock watch next. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Monopoly Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying, flag on the play. You already talked about that, but there is just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock, and there's so much to get. unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day, and constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine, and there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now, free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. I look forward to this part of the show every single Wednesday. At the conclusion of Wednesday shows during the season, we go stock up first, we go stock down second. We got 3 per category. Some of them are more fun than others, but all of them will make sense. You'll quickly understand why the stock watch is this way right now. If you want to hop in the fun, leave your stock up, your stock down, your stock watch in the YouTube comment section, or maybe leave a 5-star review and leave a comment there as well. Just let us know what you think about the stock watch for this day. Stock up on Ryan Day. Now, I'm very critical of Ryan Day, the head coach, the phenomenal football coach that he has been. However, some things have not gone the way they should go, like losing to Michigan 3 years in a row. Shouldn't go. That should not happen. But Ryan Day has done a phenomenal job with some of these offseason hires and use of the transfer portal, bringing in Seth McLaughlin, having competition at the center position, bringing in Caleb Down to automatically boost their talent in the safety room, bringing in Quinshon Judkins to boost the talent in the running back room, bringing in Will Kaczmarek to boost the tight end room. And I do believe he's still a guy that could be a starter for the Buckeyes. Moving Sonny Styles, but also thinking about the hires that he made. Perry Eliano gone. Thought he did a good job. Ryan didn't think his job was good enough. You bring in Matt Guerreri, who you already have a relationship with, but you just, hey, first time, full-time coach for a position, Matt Guerreri, it is you. Chip Kelly, even the Bill O'Brien hire was good. Bill O'Brien comes in, oh, nope, you're going back to Boston, cool, that's great. Family move, financially great, cool, that's phenomenal. He's gone very next day. Chip Kelly is hired, and what do you find? That's a huge, huge get. Also, keep this in mind. Tony Alford goes to Michigan. You go out there and get Carlos Loughlin. And this may be one of the better or maybe one of the best position hires Ryan Day has made all offseason. Took his time, went through process, interviewed people, talked to the guys in the room. Loughlin is in, and I do think that's going to be a phenomenal thing. Stock up on Dallin Hayden. Now, this one may shock you a little bit, but congratulations for this young man, for one, realizing his spot in the room and realizing he is talented enough to play this year and not just in a third back in the room on the depth chart situation. And so what did he do? Hit the portal, went to Colorado. I wish he was still at Ohio State, but stock up for him really betting on himself, going to the portal, going to Colorado, playing with Shedeur Sanders, playing with Coach Prime, and having Warren Sapp as the GA out there, which I do think will help the players on the offensive side of the ball. That's huge. Stock up on Dallin Hayden. And, of course, you can't go any further. Stock up on Jeremiah Smith. He's just unreal. He is a dude. And I do believe, and I don't say this about freshmen, I'm really normally more of a very skeptical person when it comes to playing freshmen, especially true freshmen. Hey, he's the real deal, man. And I caution myself normally from saying that, especially when it comes to him not playing a game at Ohio State in a regular season game. He's not normal. He is not normal at all. I'm looking forward to seeing him play for the Buckeyes in the fall. Stock down on J.J. McCarthy being the first-round pick. Never in my life did I think J.J. McCarthy would be a first-round pick. A guy who people can't rely on his arm to win you a game. A guy who in the national championship didn't play that well. Didn't really play that well against Alabama. I know the numbers may tell you one thing, but I'm like, he didn't really play all that well. J.J. McCarthy, a first-round pick in the National Football League draft? What are we doing here? Why? It don't make no sense. He's not that. I don't see him as a starter in the NFL. I don't. And I think guys that study this for a living would say the same thing. Like, he can start. He does make the right reads. He does do a lot of things well. But, buddy, you got to make all the throws. That ain't J.J. McCarthy. And we all know that. That is not him. Stock down on Will Howard. Now I was cautioning myself with this one. Will Howard, I don't think, has separated himself like we thought he would have done with the quarterback competition, which makes me wonder. And this is not even saying anything about Julian Sand or Devin Brown like negatively or positively. But what does that say about Will Howard? Just being honest. You get transferred in, you're transferring to Ohio State to do what? Start. You're not coming in like a Tristan Gebbia from Oregon State who knew he was going to be a third string quarterback at Ohio State. No. Will Howard transferred. People was talking about, he could go to the NFL. Homie ain't doing nothing in the NFL based off the film that I watched. I don't know what film you watched, but based off the film that I watched, Will Howard ain't doing nothing in the NFL until he gets a whole lot better. This is a great place for him to get a whole lot better. But y'all, no, I got a weird feeling about this. And my feeling is, if Will Howard is a guy, quarterback play might not be what you think it's going to be in 2024. I'll leave it at that. And also stock down on turf fields. This is one that I have just been a little bit annoyed by. There are people out there that are trying to push turf fields and say, hey, turf fields are great. Turf fields are fun to play on. Turf fields look good. Let's make more turf fields out there for. I understand if you're at a high school level or even some college levels and you want a field that is easier to maintain. Turf is that. Great, cool, fine, great. Think about this. What causes more injuries, turf or grass? Studies will tell you it's turf. It's not even close. What is one thing that players at the NFL level and even college level tell you? Playing on turf causes more injuries by their own experience of playing on it at a high level, at the level they're currently at. So many of you are going to say, Jay, turf fields are fine. It's better than a nasty carpet you used to play on, but it's still not better than that grass we used to play on either. It's not. I'm a person. Grass everywhere. And I also live in an area. Talk about like me covering high school and collegiate sports in Howard County. There is a phenomenal 4,000-seat baseball field here in Kokomo, Indiana, literally about a couple blocks away from where I live. They're redoing the turf field in the fall. And I don't think the people that own it would ever put grass back in there. I don't think, or even in there. I don't think they had grass when they opened the stadium, but I don't think they'll put grass. I think it'd be it's too much on the upkeep and for the grounds crew to put grass out there. I don't think so. A new turf is cool. I don't like that. What it does for the injuries, though. I don't at all. There's a baseball team in the area. There's people all over the place trying to get turf. One is expensive. Funds are there. A lot of places. But also, number two, it's not safer. And in a world where things want to be safer and people want to make things safer, and I'm all for safety, turf is not the safest field to play on. I'll leave it at that, y'all. It's Wednesday. It's a hump day. First day in the month of May in this year. It's crazy how fast this year is going and how smooth this year is going. It's crazy. Before you know it, we'll be here. The season will be here. We'll all be cheering for Ohio State. I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to my little man, my first son, my wife and I's first child being born in a few months. Getting nervous by the day. There will be times when we're in this room, I'm in this room recording shows that what's behind me may look a little bit different. Why? Because this will be an office and a nursery at the same time. Got to make do with the room we got. So if things are changing with the background, that's fine. That's not going to change what we do here on this show. You can follow me on X at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens07@gmail.com. It's a hump day, first day in the month of May. We'll see you next time.